In this video, I'm going to walk through a couple of the common toolbar features within OrbitNote and talk about a few of the pitfalls of working with PDFs, especially if they're PDFs that you haven't created yourself, you've downloaded from, a resource online or maybe paid for within Teachers Pay Teachers. So I'm going to select this one because I know kind of the behavior this is going to show us and what it will highlight for us. So again, I'm clicking or double clicking on that within my Google Drive. And again, to open this within OrbitNote, I go up to the top and select Open With. I have many different extensions in there that I can interact with and have pop up for me, but I'm going to go down and select OrbitNote. That'll open this PDF in a new tab with the OrbitNote toolbar coming up automatically. Depending on the size of the PDF, this one's, I think, about 3 pages, has some graphics involved, that kind of thing. It will take a little bit of time to open that up. So I have put this into mostly a full screen view using my magnification zoom options down here at the bottom. I'm going to go back to kind of what this might look like when you first open it let's go actually up a little bit, because it's probably going to open something a little more like this, give you a bit more of an idea of what's there. So again, with this particular PDF, a couple things to note. It does have, images. There are some stylized fonts that I know OrbitNote's going to struggle with, at least initially. It's got a spot for a name at the top. I know this document has, a footer information down here at the bottom. All of those add complexity to our PDFs, but there are workarounds for all of those kinds of things. So the first thing that a student is likely going to do if they get to this spot and they've got OrbitNote loading in, the toolbar has come up, they're likely just going to hit play, and you will notice there's going to be some issues with that.
Imagine this.
So the first thing is that those stylized fonts at the beginning are causing problems, at least initially, without a further look, and I'll show you how to do that with OrbitNote in a second. So that wasn't what it said. It's having trouble recognizing that as text and being able to read it. The other thing to note here is that the yellow section within OrbitNote shows each section of the document as it's set up. Typically this will go, by sentence with end punctuation, or in a list or that kind of thing, maybe by paragraph. Here you can notice that the way it's reading it, it thinks that the title, the author name, and the first 2 words, imagine this, in that first sentence, are all one thing. And so it's having trouble, even with the sectioning of the document. So I'm going to hit stop, and that's going to turn off my just automatic reader. Again, if I decide to try a tool here like my click to speak, and I tap on that one, it turns red. Nothing will happen until I actually force it to begin to read for me when I click on some text. So if I click here, it's going to go back up likely and try to read that whole section, because it'll go to the beginning of each section. So I'll just show you that quickly. So again, because that's coded as one sort of section, or it interprets it that way, we're having some trouble. So let's click this off for a moment, and we'll come back to that in a second. And then I'm going to use this tool here called Screenshot Reader. So in a pinch, if we have highly stylized fonts, which are certainly super common, I can use the Screenshot Reader to come out here and simply left click and hold, and then drag a box around where I would like OrbitNote to look and search for some text. So when I do that on this particular document, it will take a second, not long.
Hitchhikers in the bathroom.
And this time what it's done is it's actually brought this up so that we can read that title. It takes that stylized font and has made it into something that's intelligible and actually accurate here. I can get it to read it again with the play button at the bottom of this box.
Hitchhikers in the...
I can pause it, I can stop it, and most importantly, I can copy that recognized text now to do something else with it. And I would recommend, if you are sharing, this is really hard to do in the moment, but if you're preparing materials for students to be using with devices, I would absolutely have the original PDF there, because it gives them the overall layout of the document. It shows them the images. It has the stylized fonts. It's fun and bright. It's the way the publisher intended it to be, or the author intended it to be. And then I would also make a version here in Google Docs that is a plain text version of the same. So I'm just going to begin to capture the text over here. I can add, different fonts here if I want to, or make things larger, smaller, or in italics or bold. I can do those kinds of things and it will read very predictably with OrbitNote or similar products. I'm going to go back though to this next paragraph. I know that this first part is set up, a little strange, so I'm not going to click on the Imagine This. I'm also going to go over here and click out of the box for the screenshot reader. And I'm going to go back to my click to speak section here. I'm going to go to the beginning or into this word you, and it should now read in a much more predictable way.
You step up to the sink, wet your toothbrush, and begin cleaning your pearly whites. Out of the corner. Again,
now it's predictably sort of tracking by sentence. It's got in yellow the current sentence being read, and then in that purpley blue kind of color, it's showing the word. Which is awesome for readers as they're working their way through a document. They can track pronunciation of the word right down to the word level, which is great. Again, I can get it to resume.
Of your eye, you see.
Or pause again, or stop. Note that if I stop, it does keep the tool, the click to speak tool, active, which means that if a student goes, oh, wait a second, we read this just before the break. I don't need to read that again. I remember that part now. And they want to jump ahead.
You're horrified to see that it has 8 legs.
Then they're able to do that. And they can do that pretty much anywhere within the document that they may want. What's this question say down here? And I click there.
If you wanted to find the Suka scorpion outdoors, where would you look?
And you'll notice there are going to be some slight errors in pronunciation, especially with things that are compound words like pseudo-scorpion, that kind of thing. You will also find there's a spot in this one here where it phonetically gives a pronunciation of arachnid, and it does a pretty good job actually with arachnid. It will probably struggle with the phonetic pronunciation behind that, predictably. So if you know that those are some of the pitfalls, then we're already now getting students in and working with these documents. Now I'm going to turn the click to speak off, and it will go just back to a grayed out kind of black state there. And I'm going to show you how I would probably go through if this is a document that is set up with optical character recognition, meaning that most of the document is being recognized as text. I'm going to go and grab content out for that kind of stripped down version that is very text-to-speech friendly. And so I'm going to do that by going way out in my zoom or magnification. Oh, it didn't quite do it there. Oh, it did. It just was thinking about it. And what this will allow me to do is use that screenshot reader tool right up here to go and grab text in big chunks that I can go and take into Google Docs or any other software where I can paste text information. So I'll let that process. You'll notice at the bottom it's showing these kind of different colors, showing it's trying to recognize that text, and it will come up in a minute and recognize it. I'm going to pause it just after it starts to do that. Again, more text, a little bit longer.
You step up one.
So I'm going to pause it there and just go over here to that copy icon again and copy that to my clipboard in the background. And then I'm going to go over to this tab here, and I'll use a right click command to do this. Again, you can do this with shortcuts. I'm on a Mac, so it's Command V, but it would be Control V on a Windows machine or a Chromebook. And I'll click that in there. And what I'm doing now is I'm creating a document that will be super friendly for OCR software, for text-to-speech engines like OrbitNote. Again, you probably will want to go through and go, wait a sec, I think that should be realized. And I'm using the Grammarly free extension here to do this. It's super easy. I can just click down. It will come up as I hover even. I don't even have to click in there with different options for corrections. So not sure why there's so many in this one, but just something to be aware of and to note. Going to click back, I will click this off, and then I will come back to this document and a few others to show you some of the other options here on the toolbar, particularly the text entry and some of the annotation tools that are available. But I'm going to save that for another video because this one's gotten a little bit long. But again, showing you some of the common pitfalls that happen with PDF files where you are not yourself the author. Different stylized fonts, we've got graphics, there are sometimes borders that interfere with things, header and footer, and showing educators and then hopefully students how to navigate some of these issues means that they're that much more independent and can do some of this kind of work on their own, which is the ultimate goal. So more on those toolbar features in some additional videos.